Okay, this is now the Tarot Q&A number 5, and I think it's the 18th or 19th of April. Anyway, I had an email from Julie in England who had done a Celtic Cross, and I thought I'll use it and talk about a Celtic Cross today. So the question was, who am I as a person, right? It's a kind of self-examination. Am I on track? Am I doing well? What do I need to change? That kind of question. And she did a Celtic Cross. She does this every couple of years, I think. So she's in England. She mentioned in the email she's been feeling a bit down and introspective. And that was the only information that she gave. So the whole spread will be on screen over there, and I'm showing you the JPEG that Julie sent me only because it's too much work to take photographs of the different spread and turn them over one at a time and then reveal them. Anyway, even though ideally we don't want to see all the cards at the same time. So the first card that is the atmosphere surrounding the question. I've got note. I have to look over here at notes. And it was the Ace of Swords reversed. So the atmosphere surrounding the question tells us maybe it's telling us about the state of mind that Julie was in when she asked the question, or what she was expecting, or the kind of experience she's been having. Because the question was, what kind of person am I? I'm not thinking about the wider world, right, and the current climate and the current situation in England with the current situation in the world with the lockdown. So I'm remembering the question, and it's about Julie. So the atmosphere surrounding the question was the Ace of Swords reversed, and the first thing I wrote down was can't make fresh starts. Right, because it's an ace for a new beginning, but it's upside down. So you want to make a fresh start, but you can't, or circumstances are conspiring against you and it's difficult to make a fresh start. And this may be because she's locked down, but I don't think it's particularly that. So with a sword you cut, but it's a bit like she can't cut. Or else, because it's reversed, she didn't cut out what was no longer useful, maybe, or she didn't cut out certain people that she didn't like anymore, or weren't cooperative anymore. So it's a bit like the Ace of Swords reversed in the first position. I wrote down she's dissatisfied with herself. Because you want to start things and you don't, so you think I should have, and you beat yourself up and all the rest of it. So I think the Ace of Swords reverse is telling us that Julie starts from a position of being dissatisfied. So it's like discontent is the starting point. And we're going to come back to that. The opposing force, the second card that goes across the first one, was the Page of Coins. So pages are young people and can represent the early stages of something. And coins represent values. So Julie's discontented or dissatisfied. And it's opposed by she's in the early stages of developing new values, but she's not making much headway. And it's a bit like her annoyance with herself or with her inability to act is stronger than the urge to make changes or to implement new values. And that's kind of the starting point for who is Julie as a person. The foundation was the Hangman reversed. And I wrote down, should have been the Hanged Man. Because the Hangman is reversed, it's maybe telling her, you know what you should have done, the Hanged Man and all that it represents, but you didn't. And that's why you're discontented now, and that's why you're having trouble implementing new values. So what do we do with the Hanged Man? What's the Hanged Man like? And I can't help but think of the Hanged Man okay, the hangman's hanging upside down, looking at the world from a different angle. And somehow poetry and music and meditation and yoga and philosophy are all activities we can participate in to understand the point of view of the hanged man, and also to be able to do something about being the hanged man in a creative kind of a way. You know what I mean? It's like somehow the hanged man is connected with eternal truth, whatever that might mean. And if you're not actively working with eternal truth or studying it or trying to find it, then the hangman is reversed. And the other thing, I wrote down something about other people, because with the hangman, you're upside down and looking at the world from a different angle. But the world is looking at itself, at the world normally, so to speak. So with the hangman upside down, you can have it can indicate that you have a different point of view, but other people don't get it. But I think the point is, if they don't get it, that's their problem. So we don't bend ourselves out of shape, or if we bend ourselves out of shape to accommodate other people and their limited view of events and circumstances, then you get the hangman reversed. The card that's passing away, the influence that's passing away, was the Knight of Cups reversed. So it can be, because knights can represent people, it can be that Julie was feeling out of it or disconnected with the hangman reversed. So she may have looked to other people to get her out of it or to get her back on track. But the Knight of what was it? The Knight of Cups? The Knight of Cups was reversed. So other people didn't solve the problem. And I suppose it's because it's a hanged man. You really have to discover your own inner truth, inner being, inner self, eternally living, spiritual, that kind of stuff. You need to find that and connect with it rather than look to the world for answers. And that can also explain, I wrote down, can also explain the Ace of Swords. So if Julie was looking to other people for answers instead of looking to her own self, that's why she's disconnected or disconcerted or upset or disorganized. That's why the first card was the Ace of Swords reversed. Okay, so what may come is the Two of Cups reversed. So if she's looking, it's a reverse card. So it's a bit like other people, other regular people aren't going to be that much help for her existential dilemma or problem. So if she looks for an equal partner or a like-minded individual, that's not the way to go. So if she it's like she's really supposed to, well, with the hangman reversed, if she looks within through meditation or whatever, through writing, through journaling, through the tarot, she's going to find answers. But if she looks to people, especially a partner, and because it's cups, especially a romantic partner, I don't think it's going to work. So what does she do? What will come is the Death card. She has to make a complete, fresh, new start. So what you do is you look at what hasn't been working or what isn't working, and you stop doing it. You cut it out. Ace of Swords. So think about what could work and try it, or what might work, or what would be more desirable. And if we remember that the hangman reverse, she's hanging upside down with a different point of view, but she's been ignoring that side of her, or she's been ignoring the opinion or the view that she has because she's hanging upside down. It's like an alternative viewpoint when you're the hanged man. So she knows what it is, but she has been implementing it. Again, the Ace of Swords. Or she's been trying to be normal. And maybe it's as simple as that. Or she's been trying to be like a regular person in spite of her occult or hidden interests and so on. The Hermit is what Julie is like now. And so hermits live in caves. And I think this is important about the Hermit. So what you do is Julie retires into her cave, not into a room and close and lock the door, but into a cave because there's no door in a cave, so you're available. So I think what she does is, or what the tarot is saying with the Hermit is, retire into your cave and meditate and ponder, assess the past and figure out what's wise and then express it. But don't shut yourself away from other people. Be available. And this might mean through tarot reading, for instance, or something online. But also when she's in her cave, study Shakespeare and philosophy and poetry and look for answers, and they're going to find you. But that means also, and it's the Hermit too, she has to pay attention to what she notices and what she thinks and the inspirations that she has. And that the inspiration can be something literal like call somebody, or if she has the idea of starting a blog, start a blog. Or if she wants a website, start a website. Or if she wants to get a different deck of cards, get a different deck of cards. Inspiration doesn't have to be suddenly overwhelmed by the Spirit of God and you go out and write a great novel. I mean, that can be, but do you know what I mean? It can be small as well. Then the influence of other people is the Lovers. And I mentioned a couple of videos ago about the Lovers as the two paths, right? The young man standing at crossroads. So the Lovers appears in the 8th position, the influence of other people. So other people are going to help Julie to choose wisely. I know I had the 2 of Cups reversed. That's a bit like looking for a partner to go with you along the journey. But I think Julie's meant to travel a solitary path for the time being. She's represented by the Hermit. So other people are going to help her choose wisely, or are going to help her pick the right path. And I made a note, remembering that you can learn as much from a bad book as you can from a good one. Right? So you can learn as much from stupid opinions and stupid people as you can from wise people. It's how you view it. And this goes back to the Hermit, the Hanged Man reversed, and the Ace of Swords. So when somebody points you in a certain direction, examine it. Look at it from your point of view. And if it's worth following, follow it. If it's not worth following, cut it out. Use that Ace of Swords. Because the thing is, we can't control the world, but we can control our reaction to what's happening. But it's up to you to recognize what's going on, to make a decision about whether you want it or not. And then if you don't want it and it serves no purpose, then eliminate it. And that's the Ace of Swords. The hopes and aspirations were represented by the Fool reversed. So fears in the 9th position and the Fool upside down. Julie's afraid of change. So maybe she's living in the future. Right? So you try something, you don't assume it's going to all go wrong. So you think about, okay, I might like to try this. It's a risk, but I'll try it. If it works and it's working and it's going in a good direction, you keep doing it. If you find you don't enjoy it, stop it. The Ace of Swords. And there's a book I have to tell you about, Orson Scott Card, who wrote multiple books. And one of his books was called Treason. And in it, it's science fiction, kind of. And there was one point where the hero of the book Treason was on this planet, which had particular qualities. And he was led by a local inhabitant up this cliff face. And when he got to the top of the cliff, the footholds and the handholds suddenly became smooth and there was no way down. So the young fellow who led the hero up to the top said, the only way you can get down is to jump. And if you mean harm to the planet, it'll be solid when you hit the ground and it'll kill you. But if in your heart you don't mean ill will or don't have ill will or don't mean harm to the planet, it'll save you. So the person, the hero, there's nothing he can do. He can't stay up there and die. So he jumps off. And when he hits the ground opens up and cushions him. And then he pushes him up to the surface again because he didn't want to hurt or harm the planet. And when I read this, I immediately thought, that's the fool. And I'm making this point partly for Julie. So if you jump off, the earth is going to save you, unless you mean it harm. If you trust your life, it's not going to harm you. It's going to open up and protect you and cushion you. And the other reason I'm mentioning this is I think that's how you learn the tarot. It's not by reading books about what a card means. It's more going through your life and doing what you do and relating it back to what you know of the symbolism contained in cards. And one day you'll be able to use it. And the other last thing is the Page of Cups was the last point. And maybe the Page of Cups, this isn't always the case, but maybe here, if the Fool is reversed and she's afraid of change, maybe the Page of Cups is the antidote to the problem represented by the Fool reversed. So what you do is, with the Page of Cups, create or connect with the inner being, however you do that. And pages are young people, so start again. But do it better this time. And cups represent water and emotion. So do what is emotionally satisfying. And you'll be fine. Okay. That's it. I'll see you in a couple of days. Okay, bye-bye.